Hello once again. As you already know, I'm sure by now, my name's King Fred. I'm one quarter of the Vinyl Vandals. This started off as a bit of a, let's keep each other company through COVID lockdown. Let's keep our mental health going because, it's something that's dear to me. To look after your mental health and look after your friends' mental health as well. And just to make sure that we're checked in with each other. We checked in with each other via Facebook, and then it became a let's record what we're talking about. And then we started inviting a few more friends along. And also from that, we've started also inviting people that are well into the game of hip hop through their rapping and their music making. So I'll tell you a little bit more about the Vinyl Vandals soon, but I'll pass you across to my colleague here, who is
John. Like Fred said, we did this through lockdown. Been stuck in the house, it's been quite hard. So we basically thought, right, we'll do this favourite five, and it's gone from strength to strength. And we're here now, and we've got someone down below me now who's going to introduce himself. So who are you?
Hello up there.
Hello.
My name's Ken Masters, and I'm really chuffed to be invited onto the Vinyl Vandals favourite five show. Obviously, we're all pretty tight in that, know each other, and yeah. So shout outs to you, John, and you, Fred, and also Riddler and Julie out there as well. So it's really nice to kind of be invited onto this show. Look forward to see what transpires. Hope you're not too hard on us.
never that. Okay, so who are the Vinyl Vandals? The Vinyl Vandals are me, King Fred, John, DJ Riddler, and Julie. We're a group of friends who love our hip hop music, and we love going to hip hop gigs, and that's how the Vinyl Vandals first started. We just love jumping in our car and flying down to Leeds, Manchester to do a gig, coming back, or going to London and stopping overnight, or driving up to Glasgow as we did last year before COVID came along, and went to see the gods of rap, and that's what we like to do. And also we like to put gigs on, Riddler's our resident DJ. I've been known to get on the decks and spin tunes, but I'm not a DJ. I don't claim to be. I just love music, and I always love music since I was a kid. John's been known to spin on the decks as well.
Not very well.
Well, it's not about whether you're good or bad. It's just about the fact that we love music, and that's it. We're bond is hip hop music. We love that, and also the culture of hip hop, which I think is also important as well. It's just about doing things for other people, community, putting shows on, watching the smile on people's faces when they're enjoying the tunes. That that gives me a buzz, and just being community spirited, looking after each other. Like I said before, looking after people's mental health. Looking after your own mental health, making sure that you check in with everybody. If your brother needs a loan of money or wants to borrow your records, that's what you do. You just sort of you just look after each other, and I think that's what the Vinyl Vandals ethos is. Am I right in that, John? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's who we are. That's what we do. And just to say that every Monday night from 8 till 9, DJ Riddler has a show on Try Radio. Which you can get on the MixLR app. And by the time this goes out, we would have started, that's me and John, having our own monthly show on a Monday night from 6 till 7. And what we're doing is we're just doing a mix show where, like I said before, we're not DJs, but we're just picking our favorite tunes of whatever. The first one we're doing is a 10th anniversary. Yes, that's 10 years since we first put out a Keep the Faith album with me and a few other of my friends. We put out an album of local music, which was called Northeast Bangers. It was sort of like hip hop and R&B. And then from there, we went on to launch the Northern Monkeys series, and the Sankofa, New York to Newcastle, and also the UMTV Raps, and a couple of Barzin inspired albums as well as teaming up with the JMC, the Ghetto Method Collective, to do some dubtronic albums as well, and lots of other things that we've done as well. So, but we're going to celebrate the 10 years of that by doing a mix of our favourite tunes. So hopefully we haven't huffed anybody. It's just our favourite tunes. We're not saying they're the best. We're just saying our favourite ones. But just watch the space because we've got something planned.
Better play me.
You'll have to wait. You'll have to tune in and see.
Everybody's tuning in.
Yes, you definitely got to tune in. Tune in every month, and we'll let you know when they are. anyway, okay? But don't forget Riddler every Monday night, 8 till 9, okay, on Try Radio. Yeah, big up Riddler. Okay.
Okay.
From that, let's start. Enough of talking about who the Vinyl Vandals are and who I am and who John is. Let's talk about our guest star, who is Ken Masters. Ken, over to you. Do you want to tell everybody who you are and how you got into, like, you know, your hip hop history, basically?
Oh, right. So, well, I mean, my name's Ken. My middle name is Ken, so it's you know, it is grounded in something. I don't just call myself a character from Street Fighter for nothing. My middle name is Ken, so people call me Ken as well. But I'm not very good at Street Fighter, so I mean, you go figure. I'm just good at writing bars and making beats as well. And I guess I've been affiliated with, well, particularly the Northeast hip hop scene. Since about, well, I got into hip hop in '83 when I was 10. I guess I became integrated in the Newcastle scene when I kind of moved up to Newcastle. I was living in Cromlin for most of the time that I was kind of a teenager.
Just want to interrupt there and say Cromlin is very close to Newcastle. Just, yeah, it's not miles away, but yeah, just so for those who don't know.
It's close, but it's far away in northeast terms.
Yeah.
In London, it's like a journey that you'd make like every day. But yeah, so I mean, Cromlin, like actually, I was quite lucky to kind of move up. I'm from Whitley Bay, but I moved up to Cromlin when I was 14 years old, and it was quite a hotbed of hip hop. At that time, you know, we had people like Mabs and Wally, Darren Laws, who went on to DJ with Fat City DJs and made quite a name for himself, and a load of other people. So there was a lot of like graffiti, breaking and music going on in Cromlin. It was quite a vibrant scene, and it was something that I was kind of in awe of, but I was quite young. I got into breaking. That was the first thing I got into. Melly Mel was the first rapper I heard, and I heard him on Shaka Khan. And that was that. Then I kind of heard Step Off, and then kind of got a total thirst for hearing Melly Mel rap, like.
Yeah.
So that was like the kind of musical introduction for us, and then I was at that time just like I say, like a young lad with we used to take like a rolled up cardboard down to the like Cromlin. If you've never been to Cromlin before, it's full of like cycle tracks and it's got loads of underpasses where the cycle tracks are. So it's great for like if you haven't got a very good ghetto blaster. Like we used to have like this, you know, mono tape recorder, and we used to put it in a bit of polystyrene that had a ghetto blaster drawn on it. And we used to call it the Ghetto Whisper. And we used to take it into the underpass with the roll-up cardboard and a haversack with tins of paint in, and just bomb the underpass and then practice breaking and that. And it was pretty good times. Like, didn't really worry about getting caught in that. And yeah, so it's kind of developed from there. You know, I like that was what I was doing up until I moved up to Newcastle when I was 18, kind of getting into, you know, more into the kind of the culture side of things because I was a b-boy as well. But I got an interest in rhyming from when I was about, 12, 13. I'd kind of like listening to, I'd already memorized all of Melly Mel's verses. And so I was kind of like rapping in an American accent, and then trying to make my own stuff up. Rhyming about baseball and and then you quickly kind of I kind of realized that it was about representing yourself. And when I moved up to Cromlin, there was a real identity. Sorry, when I moved up to Newcastle, there was a real identity. It was like there was something that was our own. I think like one of the most prominent nights was the Fat Pack, which was at the Barley Moor, which became Stereo.
Yeah.
is now a really attractive looking burnt out building.
The furnace.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, when that was stereo, I went and stood in that, like when it first opened as stereo, because it closed down for a little bit. I walked into stereo, and I stood in the same position. And the first time I ever got on the mic was at the Fat Pack when it was the Barley Moor, and I didn't have verses written. I'm not very good at memorizing verses, actually, incidentally. So I normally freestyle when someone hands me a mic, and that's what I did. So that's my earliest memory of performing in Newcastle was just grabbing the mic off Chill Bill, who was the guy who, I don't know if people know who Chill Bill is, but he ran a record shop in Newcastle, and
Legendary.
Absolutely, man. So he was kind of DJing there and was kind enough to give us the mic. I mean, I don't know what the hell he was doing. I was like just young, like I was 18, but like when I was 18, I looked about 13. You know what I mean? I was quite a late developer. So what was he doing? But he let us on. So rest of the system.
Nice one. All right, we'll come back to that. What I would say is, you know, one thing that everybody always talks about, it's become a big talking point before we move on to your first pick, is about Bill. You know, where did he go? What happened to him? Does anybody speak to him anymore? Because it's like he just seemed to be there, and he was all over it. And anybody you speak to, they got a lot of the records from him, and he seemed to be well connected about, you know, in that. I mean, I didn't know any of yous.
Yeah.
You know, at the time, you know, I'm older than yous lot, and you know, like I said before, a lot of my friends weren't into hip hop, so I didn't even, you know, I didn't have a lot of friends to be able to go to gigs with and that type of stuff. There's only one mate of mine that used to go to buy records with us. Shout out to Stag, by the way, if he ever watches these. But me and mate Stag used to go and he knew Bill as well. When we used to go to Volume Records at first to get the stuff off Bill.
Yeah, Volume, that was the spotlight.
And then he opened the other place down the road, and then he just seemed to disappear, and you know, nobody seemed to know where he is. Do you know where he is, Ken?
Well, there was like a long time ago. There was someone told me that he moved up to Glasgow.
Right.
And then I also know that I think Ash One, who's like big up Ash One as well. If he's watching this, he's a Scouser who kind of moved to Newcastle in the 90s and kind of and did a lot of DJing for the nights in Newcastle. He became good friends with Bill, and I'm pretty sure he is still in contact with him. I mean, I'm still in contact with Curious as well, who's also a lad who moved up from London in the 90s. He was at university here, and he was DJing, and he was good friends with Bill as well. Matt Price, me and him are really tight still, and Matt Price worked in the last location that Bill had his shop in.
Right.
But Matt doesn't know where he is. So,
right.
But Matt's got like, I don't know, like 6,000, 7,000 records. He's probably, I mean, I don't know how he stores. I don't know if he remembers what records he's got. So I don't know how he remember the person who sold him the records. So.
Shout out to Matt Price, because he used to DJ the night I used to run for young people called Crunk, and I'd love to get him on here. So if you're connected to him, please give him a shout and nudge and say we want him on here, because I'd love to have him on.
Definitely, man. He's got a serious record collection, and he's very humble about it and just kind of a matter of fact. But he actually held record buying together for a little bit, because there was a period of time when there wasn't a lot of hip hop available on vinyl, and Matt Price was buying it in and bringing it along to nights and selling it at nights. So that was it was a real good thing that he did. And I remember sitting at his and hearing a lot of that Renaissance stuff for the first time when Core Flow first came out, and Talib Kweli Manifesto, some of the like the DITC reformation kind of stuff, and like all of that stuff. I was sitting in his room, like him getting it first pressings and that, and I was just like, "This is amazing."
Nice. So hope you're all listening. This is some proper Northeast hip hop history right here. So please get your pens and paper out and write it down, because there's some good stuff here. Like somebody needs to write a book about Northeast stuff, or at least I know people have tried to make films, but it's never went anywhere, has it? You know, unfortunately, somebody needs to document this. You know.
Yeah, and I think Nick Light came quite close, and I know there are people documenting stuff. I'd love to sit down with Mick Foreman and see where he's at, and I know that he's like putting stuff. Like, I mean, it's a really important thing, because actually, you know, we need like these anchor points in the timeline for people to kind of realize that there's a reason why it is where it is and how it's got to where it has, you know. And that goes for me, like people came before me, and you know, like everything, there's a legacy. So
I think you're spot on. I also think there's sort of like, there's been things going on this side, but there's also been things going off there. So there's been the underground, the middle ground, and you know what I mean, and then the sort of like the pop stuff. And I think it's all important. Do you know what I mean? You know, you know, your Walker's nightclub, your Julie's nightclub. Do you know what I mean? As well as all those other places where there was, you know, like you said, used to be played in. I remember Mayfair. Used to be able to go in the Gearbox in Mayfair, and they were playing stuff in there.
Yeah.
There's all these places it was getting played. You know what I mean? And it all needs to be documented. I believe anyway, because I'm a real historian, and I believe in it. And I think it'll be lost if we don't write it all down, and somebody doesn't sort of like keep a hold of that. And we have got a good history. And there's probably, you know, obviously we had Smooth on a few weeks ago, and he was talking about the history of Sunderland's hip hop and where he used to go and all of that. And it's like I didn't even know. What's that? Sorry.
Guillotine Crew.
Guillotine Crew.
I was in it. We had like a bit of a rivalry, shall we say?
Yeah.
But we actually did a radio show together in the Buddle Arts Centre in Wallsend. I always remember that night. Like,
that's another place. Yeah.
Yeah. Up until that point, we'd been like, you know, worst enemies and that. But then, like, we're just, I would, for some reason, together on this one show, and it was good crack. Like,
nice one. Okay, we'll come back to that, because you know I'm loving that. I could just talk about that and never mind the actual music, just the sort of like all the names and faces.
I put a lot of effort into choosing these albums, Fred. So.
I bin them. Let's just talk history. Okay, what's your first one you're picking? Oh, sorry, before you do that, have you picked them from like best to worst, or is it just, are they all the same?
Criteria for picking these albums, okay, so because I had quite a lot of possibilities, and you know, like I've said to you already, it could change from day to day, but what I've went for is like albums that gave us a feel, like that really kind of moved us when I heard them, and have kind of that tried and tested and stood the test of time as well. And look for like any sort of innovation in them as well that was like really kind of groundbreaking. So I've kind of whittled things down a bit, but I have had to leave some stuff out. It's like I've had to leave some stuff out that well, you know, so what my first album?
Your first album, yes.
Got it, yellow. Now we're gone.
Woo! There we go.
Oh. Paid in full, Eric B. and Rakim.
Okay.
Well, Rakim is the epitome for me. I think I put a post on Facebook the other day because I've met Ken Swift, who is the epitome of a b-boy.
Yeah.
And I would say that Rakim is that for the MC.
Yeah.
And like people can talk about GOAT and whether he stands against other MCs now, but actually it's more about like who he is as an MC, his musicality, the things that he's done that have broken ground, the way that he thinks about rhyming and that.
Yeah.
And that's why I put him in the same category as Ken Swift, because he's iconic.
Yeah.
And you can't touch him on that front. Like I can name a number of MCs that I really think are killing it at the minute. Black Thought being one.
Yeah.
But that staccato, like syncopated, like using every part of the rhythm to rhyme.
Yeah.
That comes from Rakim, you know what I mean? So like he kind of put the footprint down for that. So I could have easily out of all four Eric B. and Rakim albums, all four of them could have gone in my top five because they're all masterpieces. Like you know, Follow the Leader that came after this, it was a real toss up because the feeling I get when I hear Microphone Fiend, which is like when you were talking about the one of the Keep the Faith albums.
Yeah,
My
You did that
was,
one.
was a Microphone Fiend cover, because that tune for me is just like it sends shivers down my spine every time I hear it. Like, so and then Follow the Leader as well. But like, we're on about this. I say I've squeezed another album in there, but
I was just gonna blow me whistle.
Not my top 5. Don't worry, it's not my top 5. But maybe next week. So I think this, because I don't really memorize other rappers' verses, because, like I said, I find it hard to memorize my own.
Yeah.
But Paid in Full, like, that's my, if hip hop karaoke was a thing, it'd be Paid in Full for me. You know what I mean? Like, and that's such an amazing verse, because it kind of like straddles the, like, there's a bit of materialism about it, but it's ambition, and it's kind of coming from nowhere, and then the simplicity of like wanting to just get to the studio and make rhymes, and that's kind of where the wealth comes from. And he's not just talking about money, he's talking about, you know, he talks about nutrition, so fish is his favorite dish. You know what I mean? It's just like, there's so many levels. You just think like he's like so different when he's talking about rhyming. And then like, go on. Well, just because, you know, that's a standout tune for me, because it's the one that I kind of know the verse to, and I guess it was the most commercially successful, because it had the in the UK anyway,
the remix,
the Cold Cut remix and stuff. So, but you know, I Know You Got Soul, My Melody. I mean, Eric B. President. When I first heard Eric B. Eric B.'s President is the first track I heard of it. It was on one of the Electro albums. Yeah. Can't remember which one it was. I don't know. No, it would be hard to think. 11 maybe. No. Competition time. No, I'm kidding. So when you just heard that was another spine shiver. Like, just like, and then when you read about, like, because I've just finished his autobiography, Sweat the Technique.
I've just heard about that. Someone just told me the other day that he's got a book out. I didn't even know. That's slipping me, so I need to go and buy that.
Yeah, man, when you read about when it was made and that, and like Marley Marl's telling him, like, yeah, that was good, but can you just like amp your voice up a bit more? And he kept on telling him, and Rakim kept going back in the booth and doing it exactly the same. And, no, man, it's just like, that's how he did it, you know what I mean? Yeah. And then like years later, Marley Marl kind of came to him, I think, when he got like an award, or he hit like platinum or something like that. I mean, and he was like, I understand now. I understand. It's like, you know what I mean?
What I was gonna say is, for me, he'll always be in my top 5 like rappers, yeah. But it's not just about, because, you know, actually for me, I don't. Whoa, what happened there? He disappeared. Anyway, see if he comes back. It's not just about the fact that he's. When I listen to more albums more than I listen to his albums. Yeah, actually, you know, when I look at it, if you look at, say, my iPod or my actual my records played or my CDs that I play, regardless whatever how I listen to the music, I don't listen to his music as much as other albums. That's just fact. But he's just cool as. Yeah. And that's the end of it for me. Like, do you know what I mean? Yeah. I'll never forget the first video I saw him in, which was the Move the Crowd. Oh, I just see the way he just struts on stage, and I was just like, whoa, this dude is cool as, you know what I mean? Anything he says, I believe. That's it. Yeah. You know,
I used to have the 12 of Move the Crowd, and I don't know where it went. Like, I've lost it now. I played that to death, and I used to put the instrumental on and do the rhymes for that as well. It was another one that I kind of I knew off by heart, and I used to love that tune. I just thought like it was such a just like laid back, swagger, but just like the flow is impeccable. You know what I mean?
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, definitely.
And when you hear him talk about flow, he's breaking it down in almost like this 3D grid of like 16 lines and that, and he's like saying, I'm working back from the bar, I'm like putting this in here, and then I'm kind of thinking about weaving it. So he's the way that a percussionist would like think about playing like clavier rhythms on a he's like, he's working out where the syllables go in all his verses and that.
No, you know, I can't argue on that one like at all. I just think he is cool as, and you know, there's so many, you know, people have had the careers because of they used him as a blueprint to make their own music, and I don't think that can be denied. Do you know what I mean? Some might say that's not true, but you can tell. Do you know what I mean?
Rakim Allah, all praise due.
All praise definitely is due. Definitely. So, what did you say your favorite song was? You were saying "Paid in Full's your favorite song off there.
Paid in Full's my go-to song on there. It's a hard ask, like, but yeah. Paid in Full.
Okay, I've just had a message through of John. He's broadband width dropped, and he's going to get on as soon as he can. But we'll just carry on because we're one take dudes. Yeah,
we forgive you.
He's coming back on now. I've just admitted him back in the room, so here he is.
He's back.
Sorry about that. I lost my steam-powered internet just collapsed.
Just had Rakim on the live feed there. While
that's why he went down.
Get off you. Get Rakim back. Okay. So just a little bit, we'll go a little bit back to a bit of history there then. So where did you used to buy your music from in Newcastle, in the place where there was never much getting sold? Where did you get your stuff from?
Well, Volume was the first place in Newcastle I went to get music, and that was because Bill was working there.
Yeah.
And that's where I first met Matt Price.
Right.
And we used to go to Volume, hang around Volume, and then we used to go to Saltwell Park in Gateshead for some reason.
Right.
Miles away from Ireland to play basketball.
Right.
So it was, buy records and go and play basketball, and maybe go to someone's house and listen to stuff on that. So Volume, and then Volume moved. Bill moved from Volume to get his own spot, which was below
the LD Mountain Centre, Looney Tunes.
Yeah.
Used to be Bass Generator Records next door.
So that's what I was trying to think of. So it was below Bass Generator, and he had his own little hip hop spot. That was lush, like it was just like dingy little.
Yeah. Which one was that then? Remind us which one that was. That the one that's where
It's where the LD Mountain Centre is. It was down from LD Mountain Centre. It was literally a tiny little staircase.
Still on Northumberland Street?
No, it was on Dean Street.
Dean Street,
Dean Street. Oh yes, okay, right, yes, that's where you went to. Yes.
Yeah.
All right, yeah.
So,
yeah. I think when he went there, I'd lost him and I didn't know where he was, and we couldn't find him. Me and me mate Stag, shout out the Stag again, but me and me mate Stag couldn't find him. We never picked him up again until he went to opposite Flip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where we found him. You know.
Yeah. So when he was there for, it wasn't actually that long. When I think about it,
right.
But around about the time of him opening that, maybe a little bit after. Was it Tracks?
Tracks on Highbridge.
Yes.
Yeah. So that opened.
Mm-hmm.
And I did shop in Tracks a little bit, but not too much. I'd kind of like, by then, like Bill was getting like all of the best stuff in. Actually, I've totally missed a really important record buying spot out.
Where's that?
I've done it before. I lived in Newcastle. I used to shop at Hitsville.
Yeah, everybody shopped at Hitsville. The Misery Twins.
I remember going into that shop, and I can still remember seeing some records I really love now. Chuck Chill Out and is it Chuck Chill Out and Chill Rob G?
Yes.
That album, I haven't got a copy of that on vinyl. I still see it. It gives me nightmares now. I still see it in Hitsville. There was loads of records in there, and like there was one time, because I used to have light fingers like when I was younger. So there was one time, and like actually it was more the feat of stealing from the Miserable Twins, because like it was, you know what I mean? It was like they were so miserable. I thought like I'm gonna have to just take something because it's like getting one over on them. So I just took the first 45. I was like right in front of them as well. I didn't take anything from like, where it was like safe from.
Yeah.
Like I was there, and he turned his back and just went, took the 45, put it in my coat, and it was there, Wipeout by the Fat Boys. Like I was.
There's a greater power punishing you there, like I'm sure.
I know. So yeah, that should have taught me a lesson. But yeah, Hitsville was like Writer's Bench was there, and like actually it was. This was before we were out of town. Me and my mate Crazy Ace, like we called ourselves like really corny like breakdance names, and we were from two lads from Cramerton, so we got a bit of stick off people there, like, but I always remember Mr. Z stepped in on a couple of lads who were trying to nick me jacket once.
Right.
And he was like, he broke her up and he said, look, leave them alone and that. And I spoke to him about that years later and that. And he was like, nice one. So
nice. Shout out to Mr. Z. Yeah.
Absolute legend and top gentleman.
Good dude.
Yes,
Yeah.
Yeah, so Hitsville.
Yeah.
But then fast forward, so we did Volume, Looney Tunes, Tracks slightly.
Yeah.
And then Bill had, what was it called when he? Oh, Volume. No, Volume. Hang on, Volume's there. So it wasn't called Looney Tunes though.
It was because he was going to get done for the carrier bags of Taz with the 2 turntables. It was called Looney Tunes.
No, but what was when it had opposite flip as well?
No. Basically, it was the one underneath Bass Generator, which was Looney Tunes, and then he went to that one. But I can't remember. Oh. There was never a sign above it or anything.
There's not something to do with stairs. So it was not called something to do with the stairs.
No.
It had a red bag. You had red bags. Matt will know, like, because that's where Matt actually got his job in. He got a job in that record. So at the time of Looney Tunes, Matt was started buying records in and stuff for himself. And just kind of, I think, Bill just kind of took him under his wing and gave him a job there, and Matt had more access to like a more exclusive shit, like, so.
Right.
That was a good time, like.
I used to get my records from Hitsville, from Volume, from Bill. A lot down London. A lot of my vinyl is actually bought from London because I was always down there. My mum moved down there, my sisters. And I was always flying down there. You know what I mean? My cousins go out with my cousins and go to Brixton and buy stuff. But I also got it from, remember Callers?
Was that on Northumberland Street where HMV's JD is?
Yeah, around there somewhere, Callers. Yeah. They used to sell records. And a lot of people didn't know that. So you could go in there and get some of the more commercially sort of hip hop, you could get stuff there. Windows. I used to get a lot from Windows. A lot of people didn't know you could get stuff from Windows. There's another secret stash that we and Stag used to go to in Frenchie. R.I.P. Frenchie. Unfortunately died a year or two ago. But we used to go and get what stuff there. You know what I mean? It was just like, it was one of those places where a lot of people didn't know about. And we used to snuck off there and get what stuff there as well, But we used to go on the Clipper and the Rapide down to London to get a lot of our stuff, clothes as well.
I've got one record here that I did buy in London when I was young.
All right, nice one.
I happened to be away with my parents and we were in a record shop, and I was like, need it. So you'll find out what it is.
Cool. All right, we'll come back to your second pick then.
So my second pick is this bad boy here.
Woo! Hell yeah.
I could have picked many. There's another EPMD album over there as well. I could have picked many EPMD, but this kind of, when this dropped, it really grabbed me. Like when I heard You Got to Chill and Strictly Business, I was just like, and how I'm housing as well, and actually it's just
the whole album basically.
The start of the Jane series, and it's like it's my thing, and
it's my thing.
It's just such a amazing album, and like, I mean, I go to and fro between the best duo in hip hop for me. It's either APMD or Organized Confusion, and like, I think technically the best MC duo is Organized Confusion.
Yeah.
But then there's something that APMD had that they didn't have. That, like,
and I agree with you.
Totally
agree with you.
Yeah. I haven't got any Organized Confusion records in my top 5.
Yeah.
But that's because I haven't got any on vinyl.
Yeah.
I've got some of the 12s on vinyl, so I try to pick things that I only had bought on vinyl.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, APMD, like they were like when they came out, they were the pinnacle of like what a rap duo should be like for me.
Yeah.
Favorite tune, it's got to be "You Got to Chill," like just
Right.
using that more bounce to the ounce break and just oh man.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't argue with you again, because that is one of my favorite albums of all time. Absolutely, I couldn't believe it when I first heard it. I was just like, whoa, you know. My only disappointment was when I saw the video for.
It was so bad, wasn't it?
So bad, when I dressed as
in the Ice Factory.
when they're running, you know, like when they're getting chased and that, as cowboys and that, it's just like, what? But the music's mint. But that video really let us down. I was like, oh man, yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I mean, there are some flaws in APMD, isn't there? Like Eric Sermon thinks he's an R&B singer.
Yeah.
Can't hold a note.
Nope.
But he gets away with it. I mean, like you could easily put. Hang on a second. Is it Back in Business? Is that the next?
It was Strictly Business. Then it was. Go on, John. Get the stats out.
That's what I'm doing.
I'm a super fan and I can't even remember.
Then Business Never Personal.
So it was Strictly Business, Unfinished Business, Business as Usual.
Yeah.
Back in Business. Business Never Personal.
Yeah.
Back in Business, Out of Business, We Mean Business.
They're running out of business.
They're running out of business.
It's like the only reason they don't make albums anymore is like I can't. We've exhausted the business thing. Like end of business. We're closed. But yeah, I've forgotten what the second album was called again. Business.
What you just said there, John, was what was the second one?
I've forgotten already.
Unfinished Business.
Unfinished.
Yeah, you could easily stand that up again because that's like one of the strongest debut albums in hip hop.
Yep.
Debut, the second album, follow-up albums.
Sophomore, is it Sophomore that's called it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like it, just big payback. So what you're saying?
That's the one where they're sitting on the cars, isn't it? Is it the blue album?
Yeah.
It's blue, isn't
it?
Yeah.
Amazing, man. Just outstanding.
I think for me, they're not the most technical. There's a lot of rappers rap better than them, but there's nobody raps side by side better than them. For me, that's you know what I mean? And their music is funky as hell, and I love a good bit of funk. And they know how to bring the funk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For me,
I mean, Eric Sims is an amazing producer.
Yeah.
I think that's what like, the strength was. He like knows how to like pick like good funk breaks and that, and kind of really flip them.
Yeah.
And I think that like Parrish Smith was the one who kind of was the most technically gifted. When you listen to him on Rampage, like he tears LL and you. You know what I mean?
Which isn't easy.
Yeah, exactly, man. So like, you know, LL was big at that point in time. Getting LL in the future is like, oh yeah, he's like the god of rap. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he's like AMD totally slayed him on that track, man. So
doesn't get mentioned very often in the GOATs, though, does he? In the GOAT conversations.
No, he doesn't.
LL, which is another interesting debate for another time. But he doesn't get mentioned much. Okay, just a quick one. Before we move on to your next one. You mentioned about living in Cromlin and quite a hotbed for hip hop. I would go on to say like that sort of area, so Cromlin sort of, like Northumberland type, all the way up to North Tyneside a bit. So there's been quite a few of Northeast sort of stock of hip hop makers have come from that area. When you think about it, you know what I mean? I'm sure at the top of my head you've mentioned some already, but then you've talked about like Baron Von Alias, Mr. Breeze, Tex Defenders, Super Nice, yeah. Do you know what I mean? There's quite a few. Come from area. Is it what's a group that Michael's always going on about? Warp Ethics?
let's not forget Scruffs.
Scruffs, yeah.
You know, Deej and Adlib are both from like New
From
Holland.
there, yeah. Is it Warp Ethics?
Warp Ethics, yeah, of course. Yeah. So many.
Yeah, there is. There's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot. So
actually, it reminds me because like when I was living in Cromerton, I was going out bombing quite a lot. And there was I remember because I watched the Blade show, right? And you were talking about, Blade was talking about a Westwood show.
Yeah.
That was on, and we did actually have it up here.
Uh-huh. Did we?
At the midnight.
All right, okay.
It was on about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, and I caught it a couple of times. It was when I was living in Cromerton, because I remember when you were talking about it, I was like, yeah, no, I remember that because it was a time when I was going out bombing quite a lot in Cromerton. I came back and I caught it a couple of times.
Right, okay. Never knew.
Yeah. So, but it was like, you know, like 2 o'clock in the morning. And
okay. Yeah, maybe that's why. Maybe nobody even knew it was on.
Yeah.
You know, and also another person from up that way, you know, not a rapper or a music maker, but John Dyer. He's from up that way as well.
Yeah. I've been with John Dyer as well, man.
Yeah. So there's another one. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we've got we're good stock up in.
I can see the swimming in the water around there, isn't there? It's definitely swimming in the water.
I know. Well, I mean, I can't pretend I'm from Cromerton. Like I'm from Whitley Bay, but actually not many people who live in Cromerton are from Cromerton anymore.
No. It's a new town, wasn't it?
Scotchwood moved up there in the 90s, so.
Yeah, it's a new town, isn't it? So, you know, most people are from somewhere else that came there. You know what I mean? It was all fields and mines at one time, so yeah, without a doubt. Nice one. Okay, let's go on for your third one then.
Third one. This is the one I did buy in London.
Oh, now then.
Takes a nation of millions to hold us back. Like real goosebumps. Like, oh man, like this here reminds me of so many things. It reminds me of that, like being a kid and buying it from a record shop, having to get money off my parents to get it. And it being on a time of like BBC Two had Def 2 on.
Yeah.
And they were broadcasting live performances on Def 2.
Right.
You could catch like, you know, Public Enemy, LL Cool J, Run DMC, like on Def 2 stuff and that. And you also saw people like Overlord X as well. And you know, so it was a real, of course, I had Dance Energy like later on as well.
Yeah.
It was amazing to kind of see that. So like that was that era, and like this album, man, I mean the intro to the album is a recording from a UK show as well, of course.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. I think it's Dave Pearce's voice that opens. Is it Dave Pearce, or it's not Westwood, is it?
It's not Westwood.
It's Dave Pearce, I think.
Go ahead, was it London? What did you say?
Well, Blade was saying because he was at that gig, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was in, was it Brixton or Hammersmith or something like that?
Hammersmith.
Yeah.
Anyway, it doesn't say on here, or if it does, I mean, it's quite small writing. And but yeah, it's this. I mean, to me, like that, the album before Your Bum Rush Show, like had an air of mystique about it because they came from kind of relatively nowhere, I guess, over here.
Yeah,
people knew about them in the States because they've been doing radio shows and stuff, but they kind of formed under this kind of like a real kind of, I guess, a different way of doing things underneath the Bomb Squad and that, and the way that they were kind of making music, and it produced like a totally different sound to everyone else, and it was like revolution music, you know what I mean? It was just like music that it was like force and change. And if you look at like the presence of Public Enemy in like political events and stuff, and they've been there or thereabouts, and it's kind of emboldened like movements and kind of has affected change. Do you know what I mean? And I think Public Enemy are a great example of music with a message, like, you know, carrying that message and affecting change. And to me, that's integral to hip hop, you know. And like I hate to come across as preachy, but I think that there always has to be something like that in hip hop for it to be hip hop for me. I kind of
totally agree with you, without a doubt. And unfortunately, we've record companies and whatever, we've been, and us as well, I think we all got a little bit seduced by it, and took somewhere where we probably didn't realize we were getting taken before we looked around and thought we're too far away from the shore now to, to sort of swim back. I think, all of that G-Funk stuff, as funky as it was and all of that, all of that sort of NWA stuff, when you look back, even though NWA were quite political in some respects, it was just sort of also the beginning of the end in some ways as well,
Yeah, I mean, these are things that I kind of think about all the time, and I think there's even a case for I've had a discussion about Reasonable Doubt by Jay-Z kind of being that as well. Like it's a technical masterpiece of an album. It paints pictures and that, but actually it really kind of brought about
jigginess.
It changed what we were striving for. It kind of like it wasn't empowerment. It was more, or wasn't empowerment through knowledge and kind of community and unity. It was more go for yourself, and there was a lot of materialism kind of instilled by it. And I'm not saying that was kind of what that album was about, but it kind of opened the floodgates for people to talk about popping corks more and kind of and I think that like that, it is a real shame, but you're right, it was we're kind of duped into that. And it's not even the artists that are to blame, because there's cultural movements in say Miami and in LA and stuff that are like, where Miami bass is a legitimate thing, and it's a type of music. There's music in New Orleans that's like that people from like the northern states of America wouldn't really understand that scene if you just kind of drop them in it. Do you know what I mean? But like I think what happened was that those things were manipulated and kind of taken advantage of, and the most kind of derogatory and misogynistic parts of those things were thrust to the forefront because sex sells, and then that's what people became attracted to. And then you kind of now when you get them like that, they can defend it by saying, well, that's a cultural thing, you can't that's what people in that area of America do, so and this is the way life is, and I'm just keeping it real, and like there's all sorts of muddy excuses, but actually a lot of that music kind of really counts, but the industry behind it is kind of manipulated it and made it something that isn't. Whereas like Public Enemy have always had an intention and have always stuck to that, and they've always remained true on it. And Chuck D is a man of integrity, someone who is approachable as a person, but he's like very like he's very sure of his political views and very kind of he's very kind of upfront about them, and believes in that kind of that music and creativity and politics are all intertwined. So
and I think for me it's like what I was saying before about being seduced, and me being I'm not saying like that I wasn't seduced as well. I just think that kind of like, I remember when Two Light Crew won that case, and I was like, oh, get in, Two Light Crew won that case. Naturally, on hindsight, it was a bad thing in some respects, you know what I mean? But at the time, I was like, oh, two fingers up, you can't mess with our music, leave us alone type of thing. And then you look back and you realize that actually not everything is worth fighting for, and I
guess, I mean, it's complicated, isn't it, though?
It is complicated, of course it is.
Because the flip side of the thing is, if they did get beaten, then it opens the floodgate for lots of other things to kind of be held back. And then you're talking about the restriction of the civil rights movement. You could pull a Public Enemy album and say you can't be saying that, or you can't be inciting this, or you can't be because we've already set these precedents. So,
which is what happened, wasn't it? It happened with Paris, and it happened with Ice-T when they were talking about killing the president and that. You know what I mean? So it did. And you have got to be careful, because then you start, they start banning videos, and they start making you put stickers on stuff, and not playing after the 9 o'clock before the 9 o'clock watershed and all this type of stuff, So it did happen, and you're right. We did sort of like, you've got to be careful about civil liberties and all of that. But I just think it's a shame, because I remember, working one night on the door, my friends jumping in my car. They're all into sort of like dance music and that type of stuff, you know what I mean? Which a lot of people are up in the Northeast here, or were, whatever, it tends to be that. Jumping in my car, my stereo being on, my tape cassette coming on at the time. And one of my friends saying, "What's this?" And I was saying, "Well, it's hip hop." And say, "Well, it's not." And I bloody is. Because they were so, all they know about is the sort of like the pop stuff and the misogynistic stuff. Do you know what I mean? And one of them says, "Well, all right," he basically, he said it, all rap music's just about flipping shooting each other and sex. Like, and it's not. Listen to what this guy's saying here. And they were totally shocked with some of the stuff that I can't remember who I was playing. I was probably playing Paris, but I was playing something like Paris or whoever. And they were really shocked to hear what was being said. Quite offended as well, because some people say, "Well, that's racist." And well, I don't think it is racist. He's just speaking some facts that you can't really argue with, and having that sort of debate with him. And I found it interesting, because I was like, that's all you think rap is? You just think rap is around drug dealing, guns, and sex? And I was quite horrified to hear that's what like some of my friends thought.
So a lot of people think that, though. That's they do. Because that's the it's mad. I've just been writing a kind of a prospectus, kind of manifesto for the company that I run, Knowledge Movement. Just because I'm, we're at a quite a critical time, and I'm trying to kind of, tighten up my business plans and stuff. So and I kind of put in the statement of intent about the kind of misconception of the term hip hop, and how people kind of see it as a vehicle for misogyny and glorifying violence and drugs and stuff like that. But the knowledge has always been at the core of hip hop. It's that, like, it's always been central to it. So if we're really kind of like explore what it does mean and where it comes from, then we do always come back to that and see that there was an intelligent struggle that led to kind of an intellectual renaissance and revolution in against all odds, and that's creativity and artistry that kind of that made that possible.
Fair enough.
One thing about Public Enemy, though, we can do another local link, because Configure, local producer,
Chuck D, isn't he?
Signed a Chuck D's label, and he's just produced Arrested Development's new album as well.
Yeah.
Sorry, Configure, tell us what Configure's just done. Sorry, I missed that there. Go on.
Well, he's signed to Chuck D's label.
Is he? No, I didn't know that. Okay.
Right. He's a producer. He makes banging beats, like, and I've done a couple of things on his beats, and he's just produced Arrested Development's new album.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. Wow, nice one.
It's just
came out Friday.
Yeah, good. So shout out to Config. I was just talking to him on Instagram the other day, trying to get him on here. Still need him to try and get him on, but yeah, shout out to him. He's a good dude.
I got Configure.
Yeah, definitely. So you didn't tell us what your favourite song on that album was before you put it down.
Did I not? Well, it has to be. I mean, technically, this isn't a song that was on this album. Well, it is, but it isn't, because it came out long before this album came out at Rebel Well Force.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
It is on there.
Yeah.
The 12 came out when Your Bum Rush the Show was still out.
Yeah. It was.
And it had.
It's more akin to that album as well, isn't it? In sound.
It had She Watched Channel Zero on the 12, and it had the instrumental like break to Time Bomb.
Right. Okay.
That song. But yeah, I think it has to be Rebel Without a Pause, just because it kind of really, it stamped its authority. It said, like, this is what Public Enemy's about, you know.
Right.
We're going to deliver some knowledge. We're going to tear the system apart. You know, the political system and the sound system at the same time.
Okay.
It's such a powerful song.
Yeah.
And it uses like it uses bridges and music really cool. Like it's like totally different the way like a normal rap song structure, because you've got like verse, then you've got hook, then you've got verse. But they do like a 4-bar bridge almost in between, where it's just flavor going, oh yo Chuck, you're losing them, you gotta stop down, and then it just comes back in, you know. Like straight away, which is really cool, like different way of doing it. But that's
I love that album. That's my favorite Public Enemy album.
What's your favorite song?
What's my favorite song on that album, John?
Last Seal Now of Chaos? No. Oh, we talked about it last week.
Talk about it all the time. Everybody.
Night of the Living Bassheads.
Night of the Living Bassheads. Flipping love it. Love the video. Love the
video. Yeah. It's great. Like all of that. I remember Night of the Living Bassheads came out. There was a lot of significant stuff going on. I think there'd been like a riot. And that was like kind of front and center. It wasn't the LA riots. There was like a university protest. I can't remember what it was now. Like, but I just remember that like kind of that video dropping and just there being a lot of kind of Public Enemy, but in the middle of a political events and that, you know. It was just like, it was just so refreshing to see, you know, like someone from the culture like really kind of putting themselves about in a really authoritative way and saying we are part of this conversation and we're going to make sure that you hear our voice because we're the voice of the people. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think also for me is that so many artists copied like the stage presence, you know, Hijack. It's not when you look at Hijack, is for instance in this country, to so many of them with all of the sort of like, you know, instead of just, because remember up to then it was always like a rapper, or a couple of rappers and some dancers doing this sort of like the Running Man. You remember all of the kind of Daddy Kane and all of that, and the dancers doing all of that with the high tops and in the MC Hammer pants type thing.
The Running Man, like.
That's what it was, wasn't it? If you remember, that's all it was, you know. And then all of a sudden they came out very militant, you know, with the fatigues on and the karate kicking and
Swans Blues.
Yeah, you know what I mean. All of that, you know. And even on that video, like obviously when Professor Griff grabs the telephone and he does his little bit of, you know, I just love that little interlude there. The whole lot of it was just imagery, you know, like all of that was just amazing to me. You know, absolutely love it. You know, I can't believe when I first ever saw it, I was just like, wow, this is some kind of spectacle. This, like, you know, you've got to show when you go to see them, like, you know. Absolutely. I've probably seen them about 6 to 8 times now. I can't remember. I've lost count. And if they were on again, I'll go again. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I've only seen them a couple of times.
Have you?
Like, no. There was another time I was meant to see them, but they didn't end up coming. It was like I think it was like early 90s. And that would have been the best time to see them as well. They didn't end up coming when I was going to go, but I've seen them a couple of times after that, like, and they were amazing, like, just like outstanding. Still do a good show. We went, me and Riddler went to see them when they were on with the Prodigy at the arena, and it was amazing. You know, everyone was most people were there to see the Prodigy, but when Public Enemy were on, they still commanded. Everybody was still watching, like, wow. You can see there was a lot of excited ravers there, but they were still watching Public Enemy, like, and looking at them and thinking, flipping heck. I mean, you know, dudes are in their 60s and they're still doing it. You know, you've got to respect that. You've got to respect that. Absolutely.
Anyway, on with the show.
Mm-hmm. Before you do, Fred, quick question for you. You said that was the first record that you bought when you were in London. Mm-hmm. A lot of people remember where you bought. Can you remember where your top 5? Do you remember where you bought each album from?
Oh, right.
I can remember it, and I know Rich said he can remember where he buys records from as well. Some people do it, some people don't. So
I was in Our Price,
right?
I had on cassette for ages. So I bought this more recently, say like 5-6 years ago. And it might have been at 586.
Right.
This
No.
this was so the lad that I first got into hip hop with. It's called Stu. Crazy Ace, big up Crazy Ace.
Mint name.
He bought this. He had this and the Jungle Brothers first album, which were both played to death. This and he also had Criminal Minded. And a few years back, he gave me this and Criminal Minded as well.
Nice one.
So that was we played that one to death. And then the other two that are coming up, I'll have to think about it as we go.
And as we go on to that, you might as well pick the next one up then, number 4.
Stakes is high.
Okay. Okay. Interesting.
I mean, I love Dela. I've actually had the privilege of meeting them and spending quite a bit of time with them. My brother's a singer, and he was backing singer for Gorillaz when they were doing a Demon Days tour.
Wow.
And obviously De La Soul are on that album. So my brother told us that he was going to he was going to Harlem to the Apollo for 7 nights with the Gorillaz, and I said, I will do any shitty job. And lo and behold, I got a shitty. Well, it was an artist liaison actually, which was pretty. It was a really easy job. There was loads of interns who were doing artist liaison, and I just had to kind of like, kind of manage them and kind of like help stock dressing rooms and that, and talk to the artists. So I got to meet like Maceo and Poss and Dave. And Smiles, the kind of the tour manager who's always with them wherever they go. Really got to know Smiles quite well actually, and so the next time I saw them was in London, and I took my sister along. Went to the Jazz Cafe to watch them, and had one of the best feelings in my life. Walked through the door in the Jazz Cafe, and Poss looks over from stage in the middle of them performing. Actually, they were performing "It's So Easy" off this, and he looks over at the door and points at us and waves. And I'm like, "Oh, hi!" Yes,
nice one.
Just like, and everyone's like looking, "Oh, who's saying hi to us?" So that was, and it was really like they came to Newcastle as well. I think I've seen them about 5 or 6 times now. And I just rate all of the music because they've been on a real journey, and you get that journey of like kind of growth and discovery, and that is documented on all of the albums. But they started in a really innovative place that was like, with the help of Prince Paul, who's like one of the kookiest but dopest like producers, who'd already had loads of success with Stetsasonic.
Yeah.
We'll not talk too much about Stetsasonic. I know it's a bit
don't just don't get around here. Don't get me started.
but Prince Paul, I met Prince Paul that night in the Jazz Cafe actually, and he was quite a quiet gentleman. Like, he didn't really have much to say, but I think he's like, he's a bit of a genius, you know, like in terms of when you look at like is it Prince Among Thieves album he done?
Yeah.
Really amazing to get all those people on that album and that. So his work on 3 Foot High and Rising was just outstanding. And then De La Soul became king of the skits, and just like that whole hip hop skit thing. And they also had, like, when you look at like De La Soul is Dead, they have like cartoons and artistry that go along with it, so that the package was really like amazing. And then like Balloon Mind State was them kind of like, we are who we are, unashamedly. This is what we do. People around us are doing other stuff, and we're doing this. And like Ego Tripping is an amazing song off there, and they were kind of calling people out there. But then Stakes is High is like to me was the point where you could see that kind of went like, I don't know, why aren't you listening? Like, things aren't good here. People are doing like, people are straying off the path far and wide here. So like, you know, they've made Ego Tripping to kind of like call it out, but then they made a whole album that kind of said, look, we're in dire straits. Do you know what I mean? And like, we want to keep it earthen, and we want to keep it organic, and this is like true to the roots of the culture. We want to express ourselves, we want to promote positivity, but we still want to kill the mic and slay the beat at the same time. And I think they've always done that. And Stakes is High, I mean, if I have to pick a tune off Stakes is High, it's Stakes is High, because it's just like, there's so many things about that song. It's like, it just says like, look, we need to pull together here because things aren't good, and we need to like make sure that we're getting this right, because otherwise it's gone. Do you know what I mean? We're going to lose it. The stakes are high. And the other thing as well is that it's done on a 3-bar loop as well, which is, there's not many, actually, no, I think it's a 5-bar loop. But an uneven amount of bars for an MC to kind of ride over is pretty hard, do you know what I mean? Because we're used to kind of working on couplets. I think the other tune that springs to mind is Electric Relaxation by Tribe, but that's a 3-bar loop. And but it's, you know, it adds a little bit of difference to the feel of the song. It's a powerful sample as well. So yeah, that's my favorite song, although I do love It's So Easy as well.
Okay, I've got the album, but I'm not that familiar with it, to be honest. The reason why I got the album is because I bought a 5-box set De La Soul, do you know what I mean, like CD thing. So it's got all of the stuff in, and I do listen to it from time to time. I tend to listen to it when I'm driving, because I drive to London a lot, and I drive to Bradford a lot to see family. And I tend to put it on just one after the other and just listen to it. I don't even sometimes know which songs off what album, because I just listen to all in one go, you know.
I mean, I love it. Yeah, I've got the remix 12 of Stakes is High, which is really good as well. I mean, it introduces Mos Def. It's like one of the first things that Mos Def's on. I think it's Big Brother beat. And then, Big Brother beat, there it is. But it's just like, so like, you know, they're so like unashamedly them. Different. Which is great.
What's the significance of the album cover? What's the story behind that?
I don't know, actually. It's a good question.
I've often wondered, you know.
I've looked at it before and thought, like, is it because it's like, it's a group of children, and like, if the stakes are high, then you know, they're the first. Like, it's their future that we're messing up, or maybe that's what it is. Possibly.
Good one. Yeah. Okay. Any questions, John?
No, just it's one of my favorite albums as well. It's like good man. And there's not much you can really say about this class album, and they're really good live. I've only seen them twice, but once was at the O2, where the sound wasn't the best.
It wasn't great. I was with you, John, wasn't I? Well,
yeah. But it was Pete Rock who was the DJ that night.
Yeah, I saw them there as well. The thing about that venue is that there's only like a small area that you can be in for the gig to sound good.
It's a rock venue, isn't it? Let's face it. And it's the speakers and everything are orientated towards rock, like our heavier sounds. I've seen some other groups in there where you just think this sounds mint, and then we went to see was it me and you that went to see
Parliament Funkadelic.
That sound was terrible in all. Do you know what I mean? You know, unfortunately, there's just been... I saw, around the same time, I saw Toots and the Maytals, and they were absolutely amazing there. And I saw Bigger Dynamite there probably about 8-9 years ago, and that was absolutely tremendous again. But it was like, because of guitars and that, and bass, and I saw Aswad there as well.
Same spot as well.
What's that?
Did you watch them all from the same spot, or did you stand in
different... Yeah, it tends to be in the middle bit, like, you know, just, I think guitar bands because it's a rock venue, tend to sound better in there. Do you know what I mean?
I found like whenever I was in there, if you went to like the area where the steps are and where like start to go up, that was the worst place to stand.
Right.
But most people would stand there thinking it was the best because it was right in the center.
Yeah.
Distance away, but when you step forward, like say like 10 meters away from the front, it was a lot clearer there, and like you could really get the sound. And
I haven't seen many artists there that like from sort of like the urban scene where they've come across very well when it's a bass heavy sound more than the guitar sound. When it's more like like a lot of type of it tends to lose it. That's what I've found being there.
I've only ever performed upstairs.
Yeah.
In there.
The upstairs sounds really good. I don't think I've been to a bad thing there. It's just downstairs. It's like
downstairs, definitely. Okay. A bit about you then, Ken.
Okay.
What have you been on or brought out? Who you worked with? Do you want to tell everybody a bit about that?
Well, I'm currently. Let's start current and go back. Maybe. I'm signed to Authentic Records. So
who's that? Who's that?
So Seek the Northerners, an MC from Burnley, but he's an ex-b-boy like myself. So we met each other a number of years ago. The first time we met was at I used to host a b-boy jam called Uni Champs, which was every year in Newcastle.
Yeah.
And Seek came up for that one time, and we kind of hit it off then. And then he came up for a thing that we did at N Bar, which was like one of the first Just Jams, I think. And we kind of just ciphered a bit. So we'd always had that connection. We started making we've made like a few tunes together on that, featured on his albums and stuff. And then he set up this label, and he just wanted he wanted a few heads to kind of sign. At the time, I'd kind of been affiliated to Killamari, and I was also affiliated to Ill Prepared. And I kind of talked to everyone. I was like, I don't really want to be solely signed to anyone.
Mm-hmm.
And I quite like the idea of being affiliated to different labels, because I've always strived to kind of unify things a little bit. And I think there's no reason why people should be in direct competition with each other in certain aspects and that. So, so I still kind of submitted tracks for the compilation stuff for Killamari, and I was still there or thereabouts for Ill Prepared and stuff. But recently, I've been kind of taking on a bit more responsibility on Authentic, helping them we've kind of started doing a podcast. We haven't done one in a while, but we kind of interviewed. We've had Blade on there. He's a really fun guy to interview.
Definitely.
For a joke and that, you know what I mean? He takes the piss out himself and that. He's just so funny, like. So big up to Blade if he's watching as well. He's such a top gentleman. My story about Blade actually is that I surprised him with this when we were interviewing, because he couldn't remember me, but when he came to the bridge in the bridge event, I made him sign me record, and I think I bamboozled him. I said, just sign it to the best MC I've ever heard. And then I looked at it, it says to the second best MC I've ever heard. so got the 12, and it's got do you know how you sign this, Blade? So you calling me the second best MC I've ever heard. So Authentic, doing quite a lot of stuff with them at the minute. I'm kind of knuckling down on. I've created a piece of music that's kind of it's quite intricate, but it's quite close to my heart, and it's kind of tied in with the Let Us Breathe stuff that I'm involved with. So it's a whole anti-racism piece, and I want to get the video for it right, so I'm kind of working away at that behind the scenes. It's called 8:46. It's 8 minutes 46 long, and it's 3 verses over 2 different beats. So it's I've done quite a bit, some different stuff. People don't really know that I play a little bit of piano and beatbox and stuff as well. So I kind of I've done a live loop kind of piano beatbox
Okay.
drum machine sort of thing for the first part of the tune.
Nice one.
And then into some more of my own production, which I kind of produce music as well under the name Craftmatic.
Okay.
So I kind of make a few beats for people under that as well, and do a lot of my own production. So that's what I'm working on at the minute. And among other things, like, it's really good to be on a label like Authentic, because we're always like pushing each other to kind of write amazing bars and that, and we're really kind of all into the intricacies and like the artistry of lyricism. So we're always kind of sharing with each other and pushing each other, sharing beats and saying who wants to write this, me, you know, and then like everyone's kind of.
So who else is on there? Give them a shout out. Who else is on the label?
So we've got Lomax, Amos, Carlo, a guy called Reckon, not Reckon from Newcastle, Seek the Northerner, Chameleon, Nuke, Ballon is makes beats. He's signed to us as well. Musical, who's a DJ. I've probably left someone out, but that's all I can think of for now.
All right, it's a good little roster going on there.
But yeah, and all really, really gifted and talented MCs and that. And we're slowly building. You know, we're getting a bit more following on YouTube. The views are looking good. Like,
this one,
not a language that I really kind of speak in. I'm really not concerned with streams and views, particularly not streams. I think there's a refreshing backlash against that happening at the minute, with a lot of people kind of saying that, you know, especially now where we're looking at the arts industries under extreme threat, because we're being told that we're not essential, you know, by the government. I think that now is a great time for artists to kind of stop having the wool pulled over their eyes and thinking that Spotify and Apple Music are doing them a favor by giving them like a fraction of a penny for.
It's interesting you're saying that, because obviously we interviewed KG and Bello B from the Outlaw Posse. Shout out to both of them, lovely guys. And KG was talking on, you know, he's done his maths and English. Oh, sorry, his maths sums, and he's worked out that, you know, how much an artist on minimum wage, McDonald's wage, how much would have to sell is ridiculous, you know, to make a living.
Yeah,
that's even not, you know what I mean, on like Spotify and all of that, it's not worth it. You know what I mean? You know, so yeah, and you know, we don't, you know, us three here, you know, we're the Vinyl Vandals, me and John here, you know, because we love our vinyl. I also extend that to CDs and cassettes for that matter, but I have to have it in my hand. I have to be able to read the book, the sleeves and all of that. I can't, you know, call us old or what? Yeah, I am old, but I can't understand how people like music that just floats around in the air and they can't actually touch, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I struggle with that. I do struggle with that, you know what I mean? Because it's just like...
It's the package.
Yeah.
So everything about like, I think that you kind of get a relationship with the artist by actually holding something in your hand. And when I did the shameless plug, when I did the Bad Roaches album, purposely, there's 3 members in Bad Roaches. So there's me, who I write the rhymes. There's Torb the Roach, makes the beats, and then there's Soon, who does the artwork. And like that's the triad of the artistry there.
Yeah.
And I wanted to make it so the art was integral to it, so that you had to have the package.
Yes.
That it wasn't like, I mean, you can do that. You can get the digital download, but the art is like front and center on it, because I find it's so important to have like a connection with that and a vision, and give people like a little bit more than just you know, this, you've got like, it's 2-dimensional, you know. If you download something, you just get the song and that's it. You don't get the liner notes.
No.
You know what I mean? It's like all of that's kind of lost. And a big part of being in the hip hop and vinyl collection is the liner notes, especially if you're into sampling, because if you start to buy the original breaks off the records that you buy and that have been sampled, then you start looking at the artists that they collaborate with and the labels that are on. Then you start finding your own samples because you do your legwork and that, and you read the liner notes. You know where it's at, and that's all lost because. And the other side of that is, of course, that you have things like what's it called, Splice, or like on it'll come up on your Facebook timeline if you're into production and that. And now there's no need for you to go and like sample and find your own dig things and that. You download Splice or loads of other things that give you sample packs, and it's all there for you.
Right. Okay. So
There's like, and everything goes in key and everything like that. And then think like, oh, I'm making these amazing beats and that, and like it's just like if you're just pissing beats out left, right, and center, like, and there's no like, what connection have you got to them? And then if you're just going to put it on a stream, what connection have your fans got with?
No.
You know, it's like everything is just like so flat and rant over.
No, it's not a rant. It's facts. In facts, to me, facts on the rant. I think you spot on. Unfortunately, obviously, maybe we're from a time. Maybe that is the difference between, like, you know, young people look at us and realize, because they don't know. We've just been talking about going to record shops. It was a big part of our week. You know, to look forward to a Saturday, to be able to go to Volume, to go to Looney Tunes, to go to Callas, or to go to flipping Hitsville. Young people don't do that now. You know, they want to walk around saying they're bored because they've got nothing to do on a Saturday except meet their mates and then sit. You know what I mean? We did everything they're doing now, which is meeting their mates and then going to McDonald's. We did, as well as did buying the records and all the other stuff. Do you know what I mean? You know, it is a shame, and I just think you're sort of cutting a lot of people out of the chain. You've just said about soon doing your artwork and all of that. People are being cut out of all of that. You know what I mean? You're losing all of the artists. You're losing the sound engineers. All of those people that are all part of making an album have all been sort of cut out.
Yeah, man. I mean, the original art forms and that. I mean, check this. I was on Facebook. I don't know whether you saw this. There's that hip hop debates thing on Facebook. There's loads of dross up on there. Like, honestly, like the stuff that people spout. But there was someone was on about like comparing auto tune and scratching.
Oh, I saw that.
Saying like, so scratching or auto tune, like which one's better and which one's more technically like advanced than that? And I was like you need like you push a button for auto tune. It's what you don't like. The idea of auto tune is if you're not technically gifted at singing, that's what it's for. Do you know what I mean? It's like scratching, and they were trying to say it's like, you know, DJing has not advanced, and I was like, oh my god, like you watch DJ Russ, watch DJ Woody, like check these DJs out today, like ADS, like big up ADS, like
definitely,
like they're pushing the limits of what DJing is, man. They can, you know, they're playing an instrument, but then it just goes to show where we are when people are like, we'll compare auto tune with scratching as two kind of mediums of performance and expression, and we'll see which one's better, shall we?
I'll be honest with you, sometimes with that thing on Facebook, that hip hop debates, I think they've run out of things to talk about, so they just hire any old foolishness in now, because a lot of it's just foolishness. I'm sorry, like, it's the only thing I can say. I sometimes wonder why I'm still in the group, to be honest. But
I came off it after about a month. I went, no, I can't be bothered with this.
Foolishness, you know, utter foolishness. You know, but I mean, the guy, what do you call him? Is it Nova Flip? Who does it? The rapper called Nova Flip. You know, I was arguing with him not so long ago. I mean, it seems like a nice guy. I don't know, but I just obviously know him from there. Seems like, but he's trying to argue with me about why, and it is about opinions. But trying to argue with me about how Dappy's one of the greatest rappers this country's ever had, and I'm just like, I'm sorry, like, I have to exit. See you later. I can't. How can you even say that? Just because he's had some pop appeal? Yeah. That can't be a judge to be why somebody's the best rapper, because they've got a lot of youngins following them. Doesn't mean anything to me. You know what I mean?
I think I had a debate about Jay-Z and Rakim.
Right. Okay.
So.
Well, it is what it is, I suppose. You know, let the youngins have what they want to have. I just think it's a shame if they don't know the history. Every other genre of music seems to have a history. So, you know, obviously as a youth worker, I can be in the drop when it's streetwise, and young people walk in with Iron Maiden t-shirts on, you know what I mean, who are like 13, 14-year-old, and they know their history. They still like the new stuff, but they know their history. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
You don't
absolutely.
get youngins doing that. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's on every other level, from like rock music to punk music. They'll know the modern punk, but they'll know their old punk. And it's only hip hop that doesn't do that. I
And
don't
it's
get
only
it.
a recent thing. It's only a recent thing as well. Like I remember in when I was putting nights on in the 90s, the
Yeah,
late 90s, early 2000s. Like we were like we were in awe of Tiffany's. You know, like
yeah,
sidewalk, and we're like it was part of the history.
yeah.
We knew where the writer's bench was. We
Hmm.
knew where people would, even the people who didn't go to writer's bench or didn't go shopping at Hitsville or didn't go to Tiffany's, myself
Hmm.
included, never went to Tiffany's. Like
Yeah,
always wanted to go, but I was an out of towner, and
yeah,
I probably would have got my teeth kicked in, like so.
yeah,
um, but everyone knew about that, and everyone respected that, and it was really relevant to what was going on there and then.
yeah.
Fast forward like to about, I don't know, 5 to 10 years ago, people are putting people are putting nights on, like cipher nights, and saying Newcastle's first ever cipher night,
Hmm.
like, and you're like, but how, like, I mean, it's all right to be ignorant, you know what I mean, in some
Yeah.
respects, but how it's not your fault,
No, it's
but
not.
how is it that you don't know,
Yeah.
like, who are you getting your information off, and where are you coming from to have to not even have to, like, realize the fact that I should really find out about, you know, who put the groundwork in, where the foundations are, how I'm standing where I am, why I've
Totally
got.
agree with you. But what I would also counter that though as well is there has been some snobbery going on with the older heads as well, who they're like, that's not proper hip hop. It's like, well, actually, you know, Melly Mel could have said that about Rakim, to be fair. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
You've got
yeah.
to be careful when you start talking about real hip hop and what's not. And I always say this, you know, if I don't like it, I don't like it. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to sit and judge my son because he likes some rap that I don't like. I'll turn
Yeah.
on to it's not very good to me. You know what I mean? Or you know, I get that. I get that young people want their own thing and they don't want to be following their granddad's music or their dad's music. To be fair, you know what I mean? Because you could get to the stage now where there's kids now coming up who could, in essence, their granddads could have been into something that they weren't into. Do you know what I mean? Or at least their dads or their mums. Yeah, and I do get that. And nobody wants, you know, you want something for yourself. I remember my dad walking into my bedroom when I used to play like some punk and some sort of like harder reggae. My dad liked the roots reggae stuff, and I started playing like the sort of toasting reggae. My dad was like, "What's this?" type of thing, and I started playing like you know, like say the specials, and it wasn't the original stuff like that, you know, the original ska. And my dad like, "That's not as good as this." And they've nicked James Brown's. That's James Brown's beat that. Do you know what I mean? My dad used to always hear it and say, "That's this and that." He said, "Oh, shut up! What do you know? What do you know?" type of thing. And I get that, but I suppose for me, it's that kind of like where it's got to the stage where some of the older heads were sort of like used to say use are toys, use are this, use are that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I remember even trying to do Keep the Faith, starting that off, and people sort of like being really angry and like, no, it should be this, it should be pure, it should be this. I'm like, well, why should it be? Do you know what I mean? Because if we did that, you know, we wouldn't have had, you know, we had Melly Mel, then we had Rakim, then we had this one, then we had that one. Things do evolve, you know. And now we've got Kenrick, whether you like it or not, things do evolve, you know.
Yeah, they do, and I think, like, I mean, there's room for all of it as well, isn't there? I think that, I think that actually, like, being like kind of blooding myself in the '90s scene in Newcastle, there was all sorts of other things going on, and we were like, if you wanted to be like, this is, I'm true to this kind of area of the culture, then this is what I'm about. There was space for that.
Yeah.
And things did overlap. Like, I think Pat Sams is a perfect example of that later became Barcode, because they had a variety of nights on that that spanned like kind of house, drum and bass, and hip hop and R&B. And there was a little bit of animosity on some of the nights, and people would like kind of be squaring up to each other. But at the same time, those things did overlap, and people pretty much thought like, if you were into it all, then you were into it all. If you were like, if you were just that kind of, this is what I do, then you would just go on that night. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's fair enough.
Yeah.
But like, I think it's hard to, like, I know that there's definitely probably misinterpretation from both sides of it.
Yeah.
And all it takes is for people to sit down and conversate.
Mm-hmm.
I know, like, actually outside of the rap scene, like the hip hop scene, there's a real community spirit from 60-year-old. In fact, 70 plus. Just Jam had a woman from Amsterdam come, and she was in her 70s, come and break at Just Jam.
Mint.
And at the same event, we'll have people who are under 10 entering the battles.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, that speaks volumes about that area of hip hop, because it's people who are invested in a culture. They're not invested in their own identity, and first and foremost, not just invested in one aspect of the culture either. And I think that with the UK rap scene, it's very too often just kind of like, it's called hip hop.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that we there's only one definition of hip hop and you can't like da 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 da. But what I'm saying is that if people just keep on saying hip hop and what they really mean is just rap, then lines do get blurred.
Of course
and
they
then
do.
people don't bother to kind of like look in, because there's a very different sense of community in the hip hop community than there is in the rap community. There is a lot of rivalry. There is a lot of like them over there and us over here in the rap community. In the hip hop community, it's not like that. Because
though, I think that's where money comes into it, and that's where the rivalry comes from. Because it's like, well, he's doing better than me, therefore he's got more sales than me. Yeah, he's going to get the charts before me. And as soon as you start having that kind of element to it, that's when it starts becoming like, it becomes like a competition, and people want to see their brother's downfall because they want to be seen to be number one. I think that's the issue that you start seeing, and I think that's the shame of it. Do you know what I mean? When you've got people who are doing the graph in the breakdance and there's no money there in it, you know, when the people are breaking, there isn't any sort of like money there. And I'm not saying all rappers are like that, by the way. I'm just saying when it becomes the element where people are trying to do each other, their brother and their sister, a bad service, it's when they're trying to sort of like eliminate the other one because they want to be the one to be seen to be the best and get the money. And that's what it feels like to me anyway, you know.
I just want to tear a beat apart. I just want to write the best verse I possibly can. That's my ambition. Like
not a bad one.
I love that competition of the cipher. Like, I'll cipher with anyone and kind of sit in that cipher and be like, I this is the vibe that I really drive on. Do you know what I mean? And like, I want to destroy this beat. This is what I want to do, and that's what I'm out for. And I think that, like, I'll go back to North End again. We'll have this kind of like, there is like friendly rivalry in there. We're all like trying to outdo each other, but at the same time, we're totally like, yes, that verse was amazing, man. Check that out, man. I can't believe you said that. I wish I'd thought of that line. You know what I mean? And I get that from that community there. It's something that I haven't really had much of from Newcastle. Certainly in the past, like 10 years, because it's such a fractured rap scene.
Yeah. Okay. Good talk to you. We've got our last one coming up.
Okay.
Yeah. And I've got to say, this is the one that I don't know anything about. I know you and John do, so I'll let you do a lot of the talking on this one. There we go.
Mad Villain.
Mad Villain.
It's like MF Doom for me is like, well, he's Marmite, isn't he? There's a lot of people who don't get him and don't rate him and that. But for me, I think his backstory kind of contributes to the mystique of it all. But I think he's like a mix of a stream of consciousness and then like really down to earth things said in a very cryptic and intricate way. So picturesque things that I'll be like, he'll talk about the way that the sky looks against his like jacket or something, or and while he's looking at something over there, you know, he describes things in a very kind of like personable way that you can once you kind of break through what he's talking about, you go, oh yeah, and you get a gist of it. And I think that's the thing as well. He kind of hints at things and hits you with like these kind of metaphors and kind of double meanings, but it's done in a stream of consciousness way.
Mm-hmm.
So you get this kind of picture that's not this clear picture, but it's this picture of like what's going on in his world and that, you know what I mean? And
yeah,
it's put together really well. I think that like that, when I heard him, obviously I'd heard him in KMD, but didn't realize it was him like straight away. Do you know what I mean? I think.
Just going to ask that. So that's why he's from KMD. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So so Seb Love X is so Subrock was his rapping partner, I think.
Yeah.
And he was Seb Love X, and Subrock died.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. And he went disappeared for a few years, and then he bought, I think the first thing he did was Operation
Doomsday. Yeah.
With, I think it was Babito who'd kind of like supported that from Stretch and Babito.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that album is like, it's kind of like, it shows like he's on some, he's like straight away he's on some, you can tell he's on some different shit, like the way that he rhymes and constructs he sounds different to everyone, and he does sound a bit slurry, but at the same time he's tight, you know what I mean? He's tight with what he's saying and the way that he's making words bounce off each other in a different way. The only person that I can kind of who I've kind of recently I've thought they're doing things in a different way and making the words bounce in a way that I haven't heard before is Homeboy Salman.
Yeah,
like he's got that same appeal as very different to MF Doom, but the way that he's kind of stringing words together, he's got like, they're intertwined. They're like a tangle of rose bushes. You know what I mean? His words are just totally like picturesque, but like really kind of twisted, and it's not necessarily just the rhymes that are part of the appeal. It's like alliteration and the way things kind of measure up rhythmically and stuff. So like Mad Villain is him coming together with Madlib, who's from a crew called Loot Pack.
Yep.
So like, I mean, Loot Pack are like a real kind of, there's a really classic B-boy tune called When I'm on the Mic. It's like a real big kind of B-boy tune. So it's like Madlib and Wild Child were in Loot Pack. If you've not heard any Loot Pack out there, like check them out. They're really dope. But like Madlib's kind of like a real avid record collector, digger. So he looks for the most obscure beats, like samples and stuff. And MF Doom is also a producer, makes beats. He did a whole series of things, Special Herbs, and the beats that like most of his beats for his albums are his doing. So then coming together, question. Yeah.
So is it right? So I'm not really, I'm not an MF Doom fan. Not that I don't like them, because I've never really checked them out. I think I've heard a couple of things where I've been like, I'm not sure if I like that. I got a free CD, I think, on Hip Hop Connection, where he did something with Danger Mouse. It was called Danger Doom. Which I quite liked. I've got Master Ace album, which I was talking before, what came online.
It's amazing. Which was,
have I got it on vinyl? Have I got that on vinyl? I think I've got it on CD.
You can't get it on vinyl. Like I looked at it, I was trying to find a copy for a decent price. Like
yeah, it would not be cheap. Master Ace stuff doesn't go very cheaply. Like
no,
on vinyl. Son of Yvonne, I think I've got that on CD. Yeah.
Great album, like, really good.
I've got that.
You know that's like
that's his beats, isn't it?
It's Special Herbs beats.
Right.
So, like Doom Port, I don't know how many there's, like 8 or something.
I was going to say there's loads of them.
There's quite. I mean, there's probably more.
I'll tell you.
Right.
But he brought out a series of like projects.
Yeah.
Called Special Herbs, and they're all named after like bergamot and like strange herbs and that.
Right. Okay.
So the beats that are on that album are off
one of the albums.
Yeah.
Okay. So if I was to go an MF Doom album, for somebody who's never really checked them out, yeah, I'm looking for a recommendation. Basically, which would you recommend for somebody who's not really heard them before to ease my way in?
I would probably say Mad Villain.
Mad Villain, because Mad Villain, this is the other thing that attracts me to Mad Villain, is like it plays from beginning to end like seamlessly. You can like listen. It's a proper album. It's what the way an album should be.
Yeah.
Like it flows into like, you know, everything's. It kind of tells a story and fits together really well. It's just so well constructed as an album.
Okay.
And so many really strong songs on it. Some of the beats are just absolutely insane. Like
there is a Special Herbs Volume 9.
9.
So he's done 9 of them.
Wasn't far off then.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to pick a favorite song off it.
I love Accordion.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna. Accordion was the first song I heard off it. So that would be up there. Either that or Figaro, or Fancy Clown.
Yeah.
But I think I'm gonna go Accordion. Like, even though the beat for Figaro is just insane. It gets us every time when I hear that beat. It's like amazing.
I think with Doom as well, he's not like Kool Keith, but how he's got so many different aliases and everything as well. Like King Gregora,
Victor Vaughan,
Victor Vaughan, Doom.
Victor Vaughan, yes, I've heard that one.
Yeah. God, there's so many, isn't there? He must have done at least 30, 40 albums or something like that.
Yeah, but I've got quite a few Doom albums. I haven't got King Ghidorah, but I've got most of, like, I've got both his Vic Vaughan albums. Like Victor Vaughan was like, when I first heard Vaudeville Villain, like that is such a tune. Like it's like it's kind of like stylized MF Doom's like version of almost like Public Enemy kind of production, and just like really dope. Like,
well, according to this, apparently he's released over 90 things. I mean, that's including 12s and remix albums, but he's done tons of remix. The Doom Grim album as well. I forgot about that one. MF Doom and MF Grim.
It's got a great remix of what's the remix on there again? It's better than the original version.
That's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I can't remember what it is now. Like,
there's so much stuff. It's like
the main track off Operation Doomsday, with the R&B kind of singy bit in it.
Yeah.
But
What's it
the
called?
remix of that on that Grim and Doom thing's really cool. Like, he's got a 07 remix. I've got that on 10-inch.
Right.
Somersault, you know the song Somersault by 07? He's
right.
Doom remix of
with
that.
them on it.
Outstanding. Got like really left field thing by a guy, producer called Dabre, which is really nice, really synth heavy, kind of strange stuff. He did stuff with Heliocentrics. I got a 12 with him. I think it's him and Percy P, which is like, Percy P is one of my favorite MCs. Like,
you know who that is? Who's Percy P?
Oh man, he's amazing, man. He's king of the machine gun staccato flow.
Okay.
Yeah, check him out, Percy P. P-E-R-C.
See, it's an education here, folks. You know, I'm getting my little pen out here and I'm writing stuff down. So I've got my
P-E-R-C, double E and then P. The double E on the end of Percy.
Yep. Okay, then we'll come to the end now.
Right.
Thanks very much for coming on. It's been an education. Like I say, I've got Loot Pack down, I've got Mad Villainy down, I've got Percy P, so I'm going to be checking that out.
Nice
I
one.
suggest you all two I'll do the same as well. Education's important, especially hip-hop education.
We're going to do the competition.
We're going to do the competition. I'm coming to that, yeah. I'm going to do a competition. Okay. So, what do the people win in your competition, Ken?
Well, I could put a signature on it if people are bothered, but it's a copy of Bad Roaches, Cosmic Viking Wizard Funk.
Right.
It's a project I made with a producer from Norway called Torb the Roach and artist, graffiti artist Soon, who did this amazing artwork for it. I'm pretty proud of it if I do say so myself. It's simple format, beats and rhymes, but Torb's beats are just like really different and out there. I love. So if you want to win a copy of that, I've got I think there's 16 albums sitting behind me.
Okay.
And if people can name all 16, then
shall we say if people the people that name the most?
Yeah, the person who names them. I mean, yeah. Maybe they won't get all 16. But
yeah. Like the ones that are sitting down on the chair.
I thought don't get all 16. Like
there'll be people screenshotting and blowing up.
They'll just look like a pixelated mess for like light.
So how do they when they're entering this competition? How they're gonna answer it and where they're gonna answer it to?
I would imagine the answer to you.
Okay.
I mean, this is your show, so
yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Well, I just wanted to make sure of that. So.
And then, if you can, I can tell you what all the albums are, but I think between you and John, you got most of them before, like.
Just about, yeah. So what I would say is, what they need to do then is they need to go onto our Instagram, which is the Trainer Detective, yeah, the Detective _NE1, okay, and go into our message part. So don't put it on our wall. Put it on our messages and leave the messages there of what you think all those albums are, and then we'll let Ken know who's won. Okay. Have a good look.
Can I just quickly say something? I want to give a shout out to Bad Taste crew, who are my crew. We're kind of brothers. Lockdown has kind of separated us quite a bit, like, so we don't really see much of each other, but just want to shout out my brothers in Bad Taste crew. I love you all, and obviously my brothers in Authentic Records as well. I also wanted to kind of, because you were talking about the format of this show and how it's come out of a kind of space of mental health and kind of looking after each other. I want to shout out my brother Sav, who is running a thing called Epic Jam. Epic stands for Every Person is Capable. And he's running a thing called Man Down at the minute. They do fortnightly catch-ups on Zoom, and any male is allowed to come onto them, and it's a space where it's safe to just kind of air stuff talk about stuff, because it's not, we talk about manning up too much, but we're not quick to kind of pick up when there's a man down. So it's a really good thing that Sav's doing. So peace to Sav as well. Like, I'll
have a look at that actually. Nice one.
Yeah,
good stuff. Okay, we're coming to the end. Thanks very much, Ken. Really appreciate it. It's been an education as well as entertainment. Yeah, or as we know, edutainment. Nice one. We are the Vinyl Vandals. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget, every Monday night, 8 till 9, you can you can hear DJ Riddler on Tri Radio. Don't forget to go into the sign in to Tri Radio and go into the chat that goes alongside the radio show. It states, me and John are always there, or we try to be, and have a chat while the music's playing live, which is good stuff. If you're a hip hop fan, and I'm speaking to the ones in the Northeast more than anywhere else, because that's where we are. The scene's died a bit, or it feels that way anyway. It had it's had its ups and downs, but it seems to be a bit fragmented again. I think we don't have to be like, that sort of like, that kind of like cliched, I'm a better rapper, I'm going to diss this one, I'm going to diss that one. Like Ken said, when you're in the cypher and you want to have a big battle, that's all. It's great for fun and games, but we're not going to get anywhere if we're always fighting, arguing, and not wanting to work with each other. Hip hop is based on community, and that's what we should be about. That's, this is me getting on my soapbox, but I really believe in it. You don't have to love and like somebody. You just have to respect them in some way. Do you know what I mean? They like the same kind of music you like, so let's just respect them. I'm not saying that you have to be their best buddies and be in the Get Along gang or anything like that, but let's try and let's try and work together. What's that?
Get along
gang.
Get along gang.
The moose.
These kids aren't going to know what the get along gang is.
Well, that's why they should know their history. There's more room to know history.
Part of hip hop history here. If you don't know about get along gang, then you need to get to know.
Let's talk about modern technology. Get on Google and find out who the Get Along gang is then, yeah? And get on YouTube.
They're going to be so confused. They're going to look at the clubhouse caboose and be like, what the hell's going on?
All right then. So, thanks very much. Really appreciate it, Ken. As usual, it's been a pleasure. Peace from me. Peace.
Yeah, peace.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. Big up Vinyl Vandals.
Take care. Cheers.
Peace.